Welcome back, everybody. I'm Steve Schmidt, and my job is to follow up, which is kind of odd. Like, you go after one of your sales heroes, like John Barrows was somebody who I, quote unquote, grew up with in my 30s, and then we get to present after him in Columbia. It's kind of all like effed up in my head. Like, it's so cool to see all these people from LinkedIn, especially in the agency space. So Amir and CloudTask, thank you guys for throwing this together. You've been wonderful hosts. My name is Steve Schmidt. I am the CEO of Magnetic, and I am a one-person content-led sales agency, part of the CloudTask ecosystem as well as on their advisory board. I will say this, I've learned a ton from Amir and the CloudTask team in the past year and a half. And I think that the support that you provide for the agency community, I don't want to say it's the best because it's the only one. It is the best because it's the only one. And so you're setting the precedent, I think, for a great community where instead of competing with David from Sales Roads, I get to learn from David from Sales Roads, and we all get better together. Today, my job is to show you three things. We're going to write a sequence to Amir. We're going to get to know Amir Writer, the CEO of CloudTask Personality, and we're going to show you by trying to send the same email to John Barrows and Amir Writer, the difference in how AI will generate 3 different emails in under 10 seconds that are all hyper-relevant, and they're all different. I will then show you how you can send out 3,000 personalized emails at once and then change the email saying the same thing 3,000 times differently, never using the same word twice, in the same order with a different subject line to protect your deliverability rates. So we're going to talk about that, a little bit about me from a background perspective. Reggie is a partner of mine. I worked at Reggie for just a short bit, but when I started my content-led agency, I probably build around 30 to 35 sequences a month within Reggie. And it probably takes me about 3 hours because a lot of the ingestion of the AI is getting so good that all I need to go do is shape it, edit it, and then ABCD test it, just like John said. So we're going to show you how you can also spin up an ABCDEFG test in a matter of seconds instead of having to manually write that process out. For me, I'm a playwright. So I went to college as a music major, then switched to theater, wanted to be an actor, graduated a playwright. So writing content and writing emails comes somewhat naturally to me, but I will say that the B2B landscape is a lot different than trying to write a play when you're in college. So whether it's Catherine Caldwell talking about video or me talking about AI today, I think we're all trying to uncrack one thing. How do we make it easier for you to be a profitable agency? How do you be lean? And how do you get your staff to get trained up in this new crazy world, right? Andrew from Potion is going to be talking on one of the boards later today. I didn't know Andrew 6 months ago. I knew of Andrew. Andrew and Potion, for example, are in the same space as Catherine. Catherine talks about personalized, really punchy videos. Potion says, yeah, that's awesome. We love that. But we're going to teach you how to send 6,000 of them and personalize them if you have a big TAM and be able to execute that. So it's all about the tools in the tool belt. It's not one being better than the other. As John mentioned, this stuff does not cost a lot of money right now because everybody's trying stuff out. Try it, use it. I'm going to use a little bit of Catherine's approach. I'm going to use a little bit of Andrew's approach. But I'm always going to use Reggie when I build this stuff. So before I get into here, I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Raise your hand if you know where that is. All right. I was born and raised there, went to Minneapolis for 20 years, got my start not in copiers. I slept under a friend's table for 3 weeks. After I was a failed country radio sale, I stayed in a Holiday Inn in Joliet, Illinois, on a trade with a radio station that they would get free ads if I could stay there. I stayed there for 30 days. Everybody was wearing cowboy boots and cowboy hats and drinking whiskey at lunch, and that was cool, but the rest of it sucked. I was living in a Holiday Inn in Joliet, Illinois. I was like feeling really, really sad. So I got in my car one day and I said, this isn't for me. And I drove through a blizzard back home and I said, reset. I said, that was not the thing that I thought working would be, right? Then I moved to Minneapolis, stayed under my friend's table for 3 weeks, went to a job fair and got a job selling cell phones. At that time, the average cell phone plan was around $300. The average cell phone was around $800. We would get paid $200 to $300 for every cell phone we sold. I went on to sell over 9,000 my first year. And I did it by door knocking to businesses, right? And so setting record after record, never once having this, I can tell you, rest assured, AI is great, but you're here. You paid to come here to learn when you could have just gone to ChatGPT and found this shit out, right, Andrew? Or maybe not. Maybe there's a human element that really matters. Maybe it's AI doesn't know how to personalize it the way you do. They don't know how to look at somebody in the eye the way you do. They know how to write a it's not us against them. They can write great emails, but at the end of the game, like you said, John, it's that last mile. How do we get you positioned to get everything there? They feel like you know them, and then you can go ahead and transact. So as I got out of cell phone sales, it took me about 13 years to get out. It was a very good career, and that evolved into the iPhone. Like, I was a part of the first release of the iPhone at the enterprise sales team at AT&T, and like, that was pretty wild. We thought that was the next big thing. And now we're talking about this stuff, and we're doing it on our iPhones, right? So I've had a lot of, good? Sorry. Oh, you're good. Thank you. A good experience in outside sales. I never used, even till 2017. I worked for Matt Millen at T-Mobile. He's a hard ass. You guys know Matt Millen, CEO over at Reggie? Or not CEO, pardon me, president. So I worked for him, and I said, Matt, I want to get to the top of T-Mobile. He said, fly out to Seattle for 4 days. We'll see what you got. I got there the first day. He woke me up at 4 a.m. I was in the office at 5. I said, this is terrible. But I quickly learned what it takes to run a business, and I look at Matt a lot and say, like, to run an agency is so much different than running a business. You guys have personally likely invested your own money. You've likely gone out and invested lots of your own money into hiring people. We always have problems with attrition. Agencies would love to solve the problem of lowering attrition. I think we'd also love to solve the problem of lowering our costs. And I think we'd also love to settle on time to value. Time to value is from the second they sign a contract. When is the first time that they feel like you're delivering value? On average, I'd say it's about 3 weeks. Amir, is that right? 3 weeks before they see the sign of life on most agencies, before they go, oh, you gave me something back. You gave me content copy. 3 weeks.
You can be faster, Reggie. Yeah.
You can be faster, yeah. But it's that once they've had that first incident call of you not living up to what you're going to deliver. We are a delivery organization, aren't we? We're an agency. We're already in the backseat driver. Then we kick off the domains, we warm them up, and they say, where are the appointments? And so I think with Reggie, what we can talk about today is we're going to talk about how it makes you more efficient, and we're going to write sequences and show you that as an agency, whatever AI system you're using, I'm talking about Reggie today, but there's absolutely efficiencies baked in every single one of them, and if you're handwriting content right now, you're making a mistake. Only because I guarantee you ChatGPT is writing better than you. They know more about your customer than you. And so think of Reggie as a really good user interface that prompts you. So it is prompts that's done really well in a user interface that's going to intuitively know specifically what that persona would best respond to, not based off of what ChatGPT thinks, based off of SalesLoft, Outreach, and Reggie's entire repository of every email that's ever been sent to that title. With that specific problem, no. With that general problem, yes. And so it also gives you language, just a little bit of a cheat code. So let's go ahead and we'll go to the next slide. Sorry, 1 second here. Client workflow. This is the first problem, right? So I'm just going to ask some questions here. Who wants? Give me an agency owner. David. Supporting the content creation and sales development process for multiple clients is complex. Would you agree? What is complex about it?
I mean, you just need to, first of all, get information from them, which sometimes takes a good
Do they
amount of
always
time.
know what that information even is?
No. Or they're sending us something that they think is what we want and is the exact opposite.
And then sometimes they might say, like, I don't like your content, we're going to use the stuff we already had, right?
We try to push back, but yes, that comes up.
Okay. Do you think your clients, if you were using AI, would think that that's good or bad in writing their content?
I think they'd be intrigued, but at the end of the day, it would be the end result.
If they knew that they could get this in 3 hours versus 3 weeks, would that then say, I'd love to see how that works?
Absolutely.
Perfect. And I say perfect only because everybody would want that. It's not even a sales pitch. Like, Amir, do you want a cheeseburger or do you want 2 buns?
Cheeseburger.
Thank you. Everybody's going to say yes. Do you want content delivered quicker? Do you want 4 versions of that content so we can A/B and test it and delineate through 1,000 sends, which is the common denominator of sending to figure out whether it's working or not 100, not 200. 1,000 sends is when you should end your ABCD test. Because now you have qualitative data and Reggie will do that for you. So when you think about content, we usually give them content, they review it, we launch it. Let's be honest, it doesn't perform most of the time right away, right? We have to now revise it. We have to go give feedback. And so Reggie also allows you to do that. So let's go to client problem number 2 on the next slide. Content bottleneck. When you're creating sequences across your client base, like here we go, guys, like they're getting the same thing from every agency they go to. Now you can deliver a different experience, delivering that alternative copy, and then now with one click of a button, which is really to me the secret sauce, depending on your SEP, front spin, outreach, SalesLoft, HubSpot, Reggie will asynchronously put that cadence into your sales engagement platform, and you can now execute off that within minutes. So now you're taking that content and you're driving into your SEP with one click of a button. You can assign that to the rep, and your steps can be rolling out. You can ABCD test it. You can roll those out to 4 different reps. Let's go to problem number 3, because we're about to get to the fun part when we get to look at a mirror and how we would send an email to him. So this is Sri. Sri's the CEO of Reggie. Personality AI, have you guys heard about this kind of buzz topic here that seems to kind of be floating in the metaverse? Catherine, what do you think about personality AI?
You're gonna have to tell me. I don't know.
So personality AI is my ability to read everything on the internet that you've ever written and then say, this is exactly who Catherine is. And it's freakishly accurate. And when I say freakishly accurate, it's not what you ate last night, but when you write enough things, let's admit it, people are going to get a general idea of who you are. And in Mirror, I think you'll see, if those of you who know Amir will say, like, yeah, that's pretty spot on. Like, that email would probably get Amir's attention. So everybody's different. That's the point. They have LinkedIn feeds. They have Twitter feeds, and the company does certain things. So let's go to the next slide as we anticipate sort of this build out on what is personality AI. So when you think about Reggie, think about sales agencies. Reggie has workspaces built in, built for agencies. Did you guys know that Reggie was actually born at Sapper Consulting in an agency? That was a thought that they had 5 years ago to start doing this all. Matt Millen left Outreach, went down there and started just hanging out with Sapper saying, there's gotta be a better way to do this. And he said, what about AI? And they said, oh, you know, we could make some tables and pull from it, we'd have to update it. Matt put his bet on that, and that's where it got born. It was born for the agency, not for the SaaS companies. It was born for us to service them so we could get work done quickly and efficiently, and we had multiple clients. And how can you understand 113 different problem sets at the same time? Like virtually impossible. Your brain would go on overload. So let's go to the next slide, then we'll end this and get the fun part. So how do the support model for your team, just so you know, it's important at Reggie. And so, like when you think of how Reggie works, like you've got clients, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll keep it easy, workspaces. You now have analytics for those clients. You can develop the content within Reggie and invite your clients to come in to then view that content within Reggie, make remarks on it, just like a Google Sheet. Now you have a consolidated place to view the body of that content, the changes you made historically. You no longer have to go to Google Sheets and say, which version of this are we even on? So making it very easy for you. Content in its existing form, how it's changing. So I just want to go through some Q&A right now because we got about 5 minutes left, and we will kick out a version of that to everybody. So everybody will have a nice little custom Reggie link that you can see us build out a mirror and build out a sequence. You'll all have that by tonight in your inbox. What questions do you guys have about content? What questions do you have around generative AI and whether or not it's a good fit for your agency? What have you thought about so far? And I'd love to hear from you guys what you've tested, if you've tested anything, and what those results have been. Because I've been using generative AI for about 6 months, and there's absolutely no way I would go back to writing stuff from hand. David, in the back row. David, how is the content team, and who's writing that content at Sales Road today? So like walk us through, like I'm a customer, I come in, I say, David, we love it. We're in. I went dark on you for 2 weeks, but we need to be live tomorrow. When can we get the content?
Yeah, so before ChatGPT, we were doing it obviously the old-fashioned way, just brainstorming, thinking about different things. Now we've built a series of prompts that we go through. So we start basically with, our kickoff meeting, we get a lot of information, and then we define specific prompts to first build the value prop out and the personas. And we basically use ChatGPT to sort of brainstorm around it. Mm-hmm. So like,
Love it.
here, are a few of the pain points that our client is telling us. Here's their product and service. What would be some ways that you would summarize this as a value prop? And then we just brainstorm with it, because what we found is with ChatGPT, the first iteration is usually not very good.
Yeah.
But what we've found is it's an amazing brainstorming tool. So we just brainstorm with it. We throw
Love it.
stuff against the wall. This sounds good, this doesn't sound good, and then we just play with it. And then we have we're trying to refine the prompts. We're still not that great at it.
Yeah.
But and that's sort of the structure that, like John was talking about. Can we define a series of really good prompts for our content team to be able to build that playbook? So
Yeah.
it's cumbersome, and if there's a tool that can do it more seamlessly,
Have
but
the
that's how we're
results,
doing it.
The open rates, reply rates, like the call to vanity metrics, have those gone up or stayed the same?
So we're in our early stages. We built
Yeah,
our
yeah.
first playbook, so we don't have metrics
The
on
data.
it yet. So we're just really trying to build the process out.
Got it. Cool. Efficiency, though, one second. We'll come to you next. Efficiency, like timing-wise, are you realizing a gain, or are you just realizing, not just to minimize it, are you realizing the research is much more robust, more thorough?
The way that I've been trying to approach it with the team is to say, let's not try to gain efficiency yet. Because what I worry about is like using AI to just create a lot of stuff really fast. And I would say that we can still do it better,
Yeah.
at least the way we're doing it with ChatGPT, if we weren't using it. So actually take about the same amount of time, but use it to brainstorm. Try different things, iterate on it,
Enrich that
and
experience,
then
yeah.
what the end result is, and what we found. And again, it's early. We just rolled out our first playbook, but is the quality is better, but it hasn't sped up our speed to development.
Got it. I love that you're actually putting that as a priority number 2. I think that's like a strong play. Really, really strong play. Sorry, next question.
Oh, I was gonna say, we have the results for it.
Love to hear it. Results. Okay, let's hear about results from somebody who's implemented writing sequences. Sequences, you're sending about 70,000 emails a month, correct?
700, I checked it, I checked it this morning. We're actually sending 750,000 cold
Oh,
emails.
okay.
Yeah.
No big
And
deal.
so we have created essentially a spreadsheet
Yeah.
that takes 10 different things that we take from the customer on the onboarding call, and then it creates 6 different prompts based off of actually some of Reggie's content, Patrick William Joyce's content, Justin Michael's
PWJ.
content, Josh Braun's content, and then we run all of those through a GPT-4 prompt, and then we get like essentially 6 iterations of the email, and we pick the one that we like the best.
So you got your JMM clusters and spears over here. You got like this option over here, so it's going to look dramatically different. And now you're building things that have worked publicly, and now you can say, I'm sure that these 3 frameworks, one of these 3 is going to work well.
Yes, exactly. And so then we get these options. And then the second thing that we'll do, where we're just using that we took copywriting from like a 3-day, we're kind of procrastinating a lot getting this done, to now on the onboarding call, 30 minutes after the onboarding call, the copywriting's done for a 3 to 4 email
30
sequence.
minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
That's efficiency.
That's what I tell my team. We have to get it done in.
Do you give it to the client in 30 minutes? Because do they go, whoa, that's too fast?
I do it a day later because I don't want them to think that we just pump this through a
Yeah.
spreadsheet the way that we actually did it. And so then the second thing that we'll do is we use the generative AI to personalize the emails, where we ask all of our customers, what if you were manually researching this company or manually researching this contact, what's the thing that you would say, this is perfect? And so then some of them will say, okay, if they mention these keywords on their website, or they have recent news, whatever it might be, or the biggest one we use AI for is if they have an open job posting,
Yeah.
we'll point AI at the job description and say, what is the problem that they're trying to solve? I have a huge prompt for this. It's way more complicated than this. What's the problem they're trying to solve with this? And then we'll say, oh, you're hiring for a sales development manager, and you need them to solve problem. And then we just put in straight up what GPT-4 just says in the email. And when that's probably the most
Were
sophisticated
you running
thing.
the same volume before ChatGPT for email output?
We would still run very similar volumes
So
as
this
well.
would be good data.
Yes, and
I love
so then we'll A/B test things like when we have the generative text and when we don't have the generative text, of actually personalizing it in the email.
Yeah.
And it's anywhere between a 2x to customers didn't even respond before we started doing the AI stuff. So then you can't even put an X on
Right.
that as well. So, but I would say generally the lift is between 2 and 4x when we're personalizing the email.
On response rate.
Yeah, on the response rate, not the open rate or anything. Yeah.
So let's do metrics quick. John broke this down. So if your response rate today, let's just pick I'm going to pick on agencies here. Let's say our response rate when we come out of the gate is 0.5%. We go, oh my God, we got to get to 3, right? We got to get to 3 to 8%. So whatever this magic number is, if you 2 or 4x that, from an SQL standpoint, I would switch to a performance model if I were you and charge more money for appointments, because that's a hell of a lift. Now, does the lift in the conversion on the response, because to me that's really, and we'll end here unless anybody has a question, does the response change to positive, or do you just get more people saying no?
Way more positive responses.
That's awesome.
And so I think the best case study I have for this is Instantly.ai.
Instantly.ai.
Yeah, .ai is one of our customers. Sequencing tool. Like that's all they are, is just a sales sequencing tool, right? And they don't have LinkedIn, they don't have all the other things that outreach needs.
Yeah.
We started sending a campaign where we would look at what a company does on their website, and then we'd say, hey, I have outbound ideas for you. Are you guys doing these things? And we would send 3 legitimate outbound ideas to people. That was like the times that we 3x the conversion rate, where now we also went from like half of the people, or I would guess say like 70% of the people were negative responses, but then tons of people were like, this is the greatest email I've ever received, thank you so much. Yeah, we do a lot of these things and we could use your tool to do it, and those kind of things.
Safe to say you're bought in that is going to work very well for your agency.
That is, yeah, that's like, this is the thesis of my agency. Is this
What are
is
the
way
3
to do it.
things, if you had to say to me, and we'll end with this, 3 things if someone said, hey, I was thinking about implementing this, like what were the tangible owner, like talk about like efficiency, fiscally, like how does this look and feel from the owner perspective, not the SDR?
From the owner's perspective, I mean, this is the email you want your SDRs to send anyway. And that's why we do this, is because, you know, I have customers who will say, like, my SDRs, all they do is they just see if they mention CSV imports on a website. If they mention CSV imports on a website, that's who we want to target. I'm like, okay, great. I can find you, I can score, there's, in Harmonic, there's 85,000 B2B SaaS companies in there. I could score all of them and tell you all of the ones that mention CSV imports and only target those and send them the link to say, hey, I can prove that I actually researched your website. And then generate the text of like what they're using the CSV import for. And that's essentially what the SDR wants to be sending anyway. And so not only is it a time saving, but it's like, it's the same exact thing that you want done. It's just the AI is doing it. And that's why I think John is absolutely right with, we'll go back to full cycle sales, because you know, why do you have to do this research anymore when AI and web scraping and things like that could get it done?
I'm out of time, right, Jalen? Yes. He was looking like we're really out of time. So I don't have any more questions or answers right now. Thank you guys. Sorry for the technical errors. We will get that out to you. I thought this was way more collaborative anyway. So man, thank you for jamming on it, because that's how everybody's leaning in behind you. So thank you.